So the developers released a statement about the state of salvage, and some of my viewers on my videos pointed me to the statement because some of them view this as a confirmation that salvage or hull munching is still going to be in the game. However, they just have to wait for Maelstrom. However, to me, it reads like one giant downgrade. Okay, let's go through it quickly. Thank you for your feedback. I get all your frustration. We wanted to bring you the gameplay in a quicker time frame than what we normally do, and what comes with the cost of being simplified. That does not mean, though, that we do not continue working on fitting the feature better in the global frame of how Star Citizen will play. But this already sounds like some weird filler statement. Because they could just say one sentence instead of that entire block. They could just say, hull munching is coming, we just have to wait for Maelstrom. That's all they would have to say. As some of you already pointed out, this feature is heavily dependent on the Maelstrom technology, and because we didn't want to waste too much of our work in inventing new tech that will be deprecated in the future, we had to take this approach. Now, for some players on the surface, this sounds like the confirmation that we get hull munching with Maelstrom technology. However, to me it sounds we're getting some form of Maelstrom, however no hull munching. Because that new claw doesn't look like a placeholder, it looks like a final end product from converting the claw to a beam emitter. Because look at the claw. It looks fairly detailed compared to the other claw. And look at the configuration of it. As I've pointed out in the preview picture of this video. Notice those two talons, they fold inside like this. And those two talons fold upwards. That means it's not a claw for grabbing things. It's just to fold itself into a smaller shape when it's retracted. Because the old claw looks like this. So that doesn't look like some type of placeholder, because if it would be a placeholder, they would have just made the old claw shoot a beam out of itself, and they wouldn't have added any new cool particle effects. Because since when does CIG have a problem with keeping things in a placeholder state for 5 to 10 years? For example, the star map currently. The thing has been in the game for how long? Now, some players might say they had to wait for building blocks to be in the game, but I'm pretty sure they had a workable prototype 2 years ago of the star map that would have been better even back then with bugs and not functioning completely than anything we have right now on the star map. We're still working hard to improve what we can in our time remaining. And here comes the downgrade. To be very clear, this approach we took is us wanting to give you something nice for the end of the year, and also for us to be able to measure what you enjoy about structural salvage, to be able to improve on it, and also learn how to react to these early test beds. We do have plans to make the fracturing part more skill-driven, but implementing those takes time and is heavily dependent on other teams who also require a significant amount of time. Our team will be talking about our decisions, intentions, and goals in some detail in upcoming ISC. This sounds like one downgrade and confirmation that it's going to be just a beam. And I'll show you 2 arguments why I think that. The first one is the hull C, and the second one is fire. So when the hull C first was developed, I think they always advertised it as a ship that can expand like that. Then the cargo spindle comes out, and you could take cargo boxes and snap it to them, and you would see them on the outside of the ship. It was like this deep space freighter that can be loaded and unloaded in space. And as they developed this feature, they never asked for feedback or gave you an early prototype to test it. They just developed it, and over time, they eventually showed you some glimpses of how it went. And when there was a delay, they communicated the delay. They told, for example, that they had to wait for some cargo refactor stuff to get the spindle thing working. But the end product was what was advertised at the beginning. And for Fire, it's the same. I think 2 or 3 years, they showed off the first prototype of Fire, which looked really nice back then. And then they quietly developed it, and occasionally they showed players glimpses of the system until it came to the final state, or almost final state that we see on Sitcom. And at no point in that development, they asked for your feedback or how you would like it, or they could have, for example, added a room in Lawville with some simulated prototype fire where you get like a fire extinguisher just to test how it works. We never got any prototype of that, which means it's completely closed development. They know at the beginning what to do. Then they show you a piece of it as they develop it, and the end product is what was advertised. However, for the claw, all of a sudden, that they turn from a claw into a beam, they suddenly want to get your feedback in the early stages and how you like it. So here's what I think will happen. On the IC, if they don't come out straight out the gate with a statement that says hull munching is still coming, they just have to wait for maelstrom. Then it's going to end up as a beam, and that's it.